I'm 75 now, and I can't remember anybody except the Queen being there.
For years, royal fans have speculated about the hidden rules surrounding tiaras in the British monarchy. But now, a shocking twist has emerged. Reports claim Queen Camilla may have introduced a surprising change to tradition, one that allegedly left Princess Catherine and Duchess Sophie in tears. The rumors have raised a frenzy among royal watchers, with many questioning what this means for the future of royal jewels and family dynamics. So what exactly is this new tiara rule? Join us as we break down the controversy that has the royals in the spotlight once again. Camilla changes to the tiara system. It is often said that jewelry carries memory, and for the British royal family, no jewels carry more weight than their tiaras. These tiaras are pieces of history, worn on nights of power and celebration, passed down through generations. For decades, Queen Elizabeth II guarded the tiaras carefully, deciding who wore what and when. But now, there is talk of something very different. Camilla, who is now Queen Consort, has started to make shocking changes to the rules. And the tiara most at the center of this change is one that once belonged to Princess Diana. So, keep watching to the end, because this one you don't want to miss. The first sign came in a photograph taken at a Marcon banquet. The banquet was held in 2025 for the French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife. At first, it all looked like a normal state occasion, but then people noticed what Camilla was wearing. On Camilla's head was the Belgian sapphire tiara. Now, here's the shocker. This Belgian tiara had once been one of Princess Diana's favorites. After her death, it was linked to Catherine, Princess of Wales, who had also worn it. For many, it seemed like part of Diana's memory had passed to Catherine. So when Queen Consort Camilla wore it, people were stunned. The tradition around tiaras is strict. By custom, only married women of the royal family wear them. Usually at banquets, receptions, or state events. They are lent for a lifetime, but always remain under the control of the monarch. Queen Elizabeth followed this rule with care. Certain tiaras were tied to certain women. Catherine, Princess of Wales, wore the lover's knot tiara again and again. Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, often wore simpler pieces, lent for her loyal service. Everything felt predictable, but under Camilla, predictability seems to be fading. One piece that shows this change most clearly is the Vladimir tiara. Made in 1874, it is one of the most famous and most valuable in the royal collection. Unlike many other tiaras, it is unusual because of its design. The frame can be worn in different ways, either with hanging pearl drops or with the treasured Cambridge emeralds, a set of rare stones passed through the royal family for generations. This made it both versatile and unique, a jewel that could look completely different depending on how it was worn. For decades, the Vladimir tiara was strongly linked with Queen Elizabeth II. She wore it often at important events, especially state banquets, and it became one of her signature pieces. The image of Elizabeth in the Vladimir tiara became part of her public identity, a symbol of her long reign and her careful respect for tradition. But now, this historic tiara is tied to Queen Consort Camilla's new approach. By wearing it and also controlling access to such an important piece, she has signaled that the old rules, where certain tiaras seemed almost to belong to one royal woman, may no longer apply. It is a quiet but powerful shift. And then came the aquamarine ribbon tiara. For decades, it was hidden away, worn only rarely by Queen Elizabeth in the 1970s and later by Sophie. But in November 2024, this same aquamarine ribbon tiara was seen on Camilla's head at the diplomatic reception in Buckingham Palace. The reception itself was one of the grandest of the year. More than 500 ambassadors and envoys filled the palace, their medals shining under the chandeliers. King Charles greeted them, steady and smiling, though thinner than before. Then came Camilla. She wore a deep blue velvet gown, pinned with King Charles's royal family order, Around her neck and ears were aquamarines from her personal collection. But it was the tiara that caught the eye. The aquamarine ribbon, its 5 stones glowing pale blue, sparkled with each turn of her head. For many people, it was a real surprise. The tiara had not been seen for more than 50 years. The last clear photo of Queen Elizabeth II wearing it was taken in Canada in 1970. After that, it seemed to disappear. Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, wore it a few times, but then it went back into storage. Now it had returned, shining once again, this time on Queen Camilla. It was shown to the world as if it had never been gone. The moment was special, for another reason too. It was Camilla's first big public appearance since losing her rescue dog, Beth. Just a few days earlier, the palace had shared the sad news, along with photos of Camilla walking Beth in the Highlands. The palace statement said Beth was a much-loved companion who brought joy during public events and quiet times by the fire. For Camilla, wearing such a beautiful and historic tiara was more than a royal duty. It was a way to show strength and grace at a difficult time. It also reminded people of Queen Elizabeth, connecting the past and present, and showing how tradition continues through every new chapter of the royal family. But someone was missing from this diplomatic reception, and her absence spoke louder than words. That person was Catherine, Princess of Wales. Someone who for years had been a central figure at these glittering nights was not there. Normally, she never missed them. Her appearances at state banquets and receptions had become iconic, each one marked by a carefully chosen gown and a tiara that added to her growing legacy as the future queen. Yet on this evening, as world leaders filled the halls of Buckingham Palace, Catherine was nowhere to be seen. It was unusual. The last time Catherine had skipped the diplomatic reception was in 2014, when she accompanied Prince William on a trip to New York. Since then, she had been a constant presence, her jewelry choices often making the front pages the next morning. The lover's knot tiara, in particular, had become one of her trademarks. Its sparkling pearls and diamonds instantly linked with her image. Without her, something felt incomplete. The palace explanation was simple. They simply said that Catherine was busy preparing for her annual Christmas concert, an event she has made her own in recent years. It is a night filled with music and charity, broadcast to millions, and she personally oversees much of the planning. On paper, that reason made sense, yet the timing led to whispers. Reports suggested she might even be considering her own Christmas gathering, one that would run parallel to King Charles's traditional Sandringham celebration. Nothing was confirmed, but the idea was enough to set off speculation about deeper tensions inside the family. At the same time, Queen Camilla's choices with the tiaras had already affected another royal woman, Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh. For years, Sophie had been quietly connected to the aquamarine ribbon tiara, a piece with its own long history. She wore it with grace, never drawing too much attention, but always giving it life on the occasion she appeared. Now that same tiara was firmly linked with Camilla, who wore it with great pride. Under this new system, no tiara seemed to belong to just one woman anymore. For many observers, this was not an easy change to accept. To the outside eye, a tiara may look like nothing more than diamonds and gold. But within the royal family, they mean far more. They are markers of weddings, coronations, and state occasions. They connect today's princesses to queens of the past, tying the present to history. Under Queen Elizabeth, there was a sense of order and stability in this. Each tiara had its place, just as the monarchy itself seemed unshakable. Under Camilla, that certainty is gone. The jewels are moving, shifting, shared in ways never seen before. Some say this is refreshing, a modern approach that breathes new life into forgotten treasures. Others worry it is careless, even disrespectful, especially when tiaras so closely linked to Diana are worn by another. The debates only grow louder with each appearance, each jewel taken from the vaults. And so, on that November evening, the message was clear. Queen Camilla stood radiant in a tiara not seen for half a century. William was there, standing steady at his father's side, but Catherine was not. The old rules had been broken and the new ones are still uncertain. And behind all the glitter and sparkle lies a much larger question. What does this mean for Catherine, the woman who will one day be queen, for Duchess Sophie, and for the monarchy itself? So let's dive into that. Princess Catherine adaptation to the tiara rule. Following the recent changes brought about by Queen Consort Camilla's bold approach to royal jewels, the tiara system within the monarchy feels very different from what it once was, because Camilla has shifted the stability Queen Elizabeth II provided to the system. She has revived forgotten pieces, worn jewels associated with others, and blurred the once clear lines of ownership. As a result, two women in particular, Catherine, Princess of Wales, and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, have had to find new ways to adapt. For Catherine, this change has meant balancing her natural preference for tradition and symbolism with a growing willingness to make bolder choices. From the beginning, her tiara story has been one of careful steps. By royal tradition, these glittering headpieces are worn only at formal evening occasions, and they are not owned, but lent by the monarch. Queen Elizabeth II, who had about 20 tiaras in her care, allowed Catherine access to a select few, which included the Cartier halo, the Cambridge lover's knot, the lotus flower, and eventually, the Strathmore rose. Each one has carried history, meaning, and a place in Catherine's journey as a future queen. Her first tiara appearance came, of course, at her wedding in April 2011. At Westminster Abbey, she chose the Cartier halo tiara to hold her veil in place over her elegant Alexander McQueen gown. The tiara, with its delicate diamond scrolls, suited the image of a young bride perfectly. It was light, graceful, and understated. Importantly, it was also steeped in royal history because it was gifted to Queen Elizabeth, who was the Queen Mother in 1936. The Cartier halo had been worn by Princess Margaret and Princess Anne in earlier years. Catherine has never worn it again, which has made the choice stand out as unique to that one unforgettable day. However, after her wedding, Catherine gradually stepped into her role through her tiara choices. The piece that is most closely linked with Catherine is the Cambridge lover's knot tiara. The Cambridge lover's knot was created in 1914 for Queen Mary. Its arches of diamonds and swinging pearl drops give it both grandeur and movement. It has now become one of Princess Diana's signature tiaras, making it especially powerful when Catherine first wore the tiara in 2015 at a Buckingham Palace state banquet for Chinese President Xi Jinping. The moment resonated around the world, seen as a bridge between Diana's legacy and Catherine's future. Since then, the lover's knot has appeared often at diplomatic receptions and banquets. Each time, it emphasizes continuity within the royal family, while also showing Catherine's readiness to take on jewels with deep personal associations. Wearing Diana's favorite tiara was never going to be easy. It carries both affection and grief. But Catherine has made it part of her story. And this is where it gets more interesting. Keep watching for more. Alongside the lover's knot, the lotus flower tiara, also known as the papyrus tiara, has played a key role. Originally crafted from a necklace owned by the Queen Mother, it is made of diamonds and pearls arranged as lotus blossoms. Catherine first wore it in 2013 at a diplomatic reception, one of her earliest tiara events. Its light, elegant design reflected her preference for subtle beauty rather than overwhelming grandeur. She wore it again at later occasions, reinforcing it as a piece tied to her understated style. But Catherine has not been limited to the familiar. In November 2023, she caused a stir when she debuted the Strathmore Rose Tiara, a jewel unseen in public for nearly 90 years. This Strathmore Rose Tiara was originally a wedding gift to the Queen Mother in 1923. It is made of diamond wild roses arranged in a garland. By choosing it, Catherine brought a forgotten treasure back to life, showing that she too could revive history in the way Camilla has done. The appearance was celebrated worldwide, sparking fresh interest in the royal vaults and reminding the public of just how many jewels lie hidden, waiting for their moment. Catherine's choices have often reflected her diplomatic role as well. At a 2018 state banquet for King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, she again wore the lover's knot tiara, pairing it with a royal blue Alexander McQueen gown. Beyond being a beautiful combination, it symbolized the strong ties between Britain and the Netherlands. It showed how Catherine uses tiaras not only to honor family traditions but also to reinforce international relationships. When compared to Camilla, Catherine's style is noticeably different. Camilla favors large, commanding tiaras such as the Greville tiara, while Catherine leans toward pieces that combine elegance with symbolism. Yet Camilla's influence is clear. By daring to wear jewels linked to others and reintroducing forgotten pieces, Camilla has set a precedent. Catherine's re-emergence of the Strathmore Rose tiara, for example, echoes this approach. It suggests that as Catherine becomes more confident, she too may explore jewels with greater impact, going beyond her established favorites. What sets Catherine apart is her ability to use tiaras as more than decoration. Each one is chosen to send a message, whether of continuity with Diana, respect for the Queen Mother, or a revival of history. They are tools of storytelling, binding her to the women of the past while shaping her own path as the next queen. The changes Camilla has brought to the tiara system have made this balancing act even more delicate. No jewel seems permanently tied to one woman anymore, and the sense of exclusivity has loosened. For Catherine, that means both opportunity and challenge. The chance to expand her jewelry choices, but also the pressure to maintain her own sense of identity. And so, Catherine's tiara journey is still unfolding. From her first appearance as a bride to her growing confidence as Princess of Wales, her choices have revealed a woman who honors tradition, but is willing to adapt. The question now is how far Catherine will go in embracing this new flexibility that Camilla has introduced. That remains uncertain. But what we do know is that another royal, Duchess Sophie, has taken a very different approach to this change. So stay with us as we explore how she has navigated her own tiara journey. Duchess Sophie's tiara appearances. Sophie's royal journey began when she married Prince Edward in 1999, a time when Queen Elizabeth II still firmly guided the monarchy. On her wedding day, Sophie debuted the Anthemian tiara, created especially for her from vintage elements in the Queen's private collection. Its fan-like design, inspired by classical Anthemian motifs from Queen Victoria's circlet, was both traditional and distinctive. Unlike Catherine, who borrowed the Cartier Halo tiara from the Crown's official jewelry vault for her wedding, Sophie's tiara felt more personal, a symbol of individuality as well as belonging. It set the tone for how she would later shape her role within the royal family. Over the years, the Anthemion tiara became Sophie's most trusted companion for grand occasions. She wore it with poise at Crown Prince Haakon of Norway's wedding and again at Princess Märtha Louise's wedding, showing its versatility for different formal settings. At the Danish royal wedding, Sophie styled the tiara with a daring hot pink gown, and at Prince Albert II of Monaco's marriage to Charlene Wittstock, she paired it with a navy-embellished dress, reminders that Sophie uses tiaras not only to fulfill duty, but also to express her personality. Perhaps its most widely remembered appearance was during Donald Trump's state visit to the UK in 2019, when Sophie paired the Anthemion tiara with a lavender gown and a bold diamond necklace. The moment gave a new, modern edge to a jewel she had been wearing for 2 decades, and it caught the world's eye during an event broadcast across the globe. But Sophie's tiara story didn't stop with the Anthemion. In fact, what makes her stand out most from Catherine and shows Queen Camilla's influence on the tiara system is her embrace of aquamarine gemstones. For Sophie, tiaras are not just historical relics to be displayed once in a while. They are opportunities to make a statement. For instance, Sophie's Wessex aquamarine tiara, commissioned from G. Collins & Sons, is a striking example. Designed with a large aquamarine stone in the center and a frame that can also be worn as a necklace, This tiara is bold, unusual, and versatile. Sophie first wore it for Prince Albert II of Monaco's enthronement, and later styled it at a gala dinner with a daring neckline that highlighted the tiara's contemporary design. This showed Sophie's comfort with blending formality and individuality, an approach that echoes Queen Camilla's way of reintroducing forgotten jewels and wearing them with fresh meaning. Another unforgettable moment came with the 5 aquamarine tiara, sometimes called the Canadian aquamarine tiara. With 510 carats of aquamarines set among diamond floral motifs, it is one of the most dazzling tiaras in the royal family's wider collection, valued at over €1 million. Sophie wore it at Princess Madeleine of Sweden's wedding, paired with a lilac gown and aquamarine jewelry, and again at Prince Carl Philip of Sweden's wedding, where she combined it with a similar aquamarine necklace. Both appearances cemented her reputation as a royal not afraid to stand out, and they brought a splash of color to a jewelry tradition long dominated by diamonds and pearls. Sophie's tiara choices became even more interesting as King Charles ascended the throne. She wore the Wessex aquamarine tiara at Charles's first state banquet as monarch in November 2022, dazzling in complementary diamond jewels, and repeated it at the banquet honoring the President of South Korea in 2023. Both occasions were symbolic. They placed Sophie at the heart of the monarchy's new era, while her aquamarine tiara underscored her modern, personal touch. And here comes the shocker. In 2023, Sophie surprised royal watchers by wearing the lotus flower tiara, a delicate piece closely associated with Catherine. This tiara, created in 1923 for the Queen Mother, had been worn by Catherine at several diplomatic events. For Sophie to wear it at a banquet honoring Japan's emperor and empress was a quiet but important statement. It showed the new flexibility that Queen Camilla has introduced. Jewels are no longer locked to one royal woman but can be shared, creating continuity and a sense of collective representation. Where once tiaras were symbols of hierarchy, now they are also signs of collaboration and unity within the family. More recently, in March 2024, Sophie again captured attention by wearing the lotus flower tiara at a banquet for the state visit of Emperor Naruhito of Japan to London. Photographs of the event highlighted how comfortable Sophie has become in the spotlight, with her tiara paired against a shimmering pale gown that balanced modern design with timeless glamour. Her appearance was widely praised by the press, who noted that she has quietly become one of the monarchy's most reliable representatives, standing beside Catherine and Camilla with her own distinct style. What makes Sophie's tiara journey so compelling is that it reflects both loyalty and adaptability. By continuing to wear the Anthemion, Sophie honors her marriage and her personal royal history. By embracing bold aquamarines, she adds individuality and freshness to her role. And by wearing pieces like the lotus flower, she supports Camilla's reshaping of the tiara system into something more flexible and inclusive. In contrast to Catherine, whose tiara choices often emphasize history, duty, and preparation for queenship, Sophie's reflects versatility, experimentation, and personality. Together, the two women show how Camilla's influence has created space for different expressions of royal identity. Where Catherine carries the weight of tradition, Sophie demonstrates the freedom of adaptability. Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, may not always be in the global spotlight like Catherine, but her tiara choices consistently fascinate royal watchers. They remind us that within the monarchy's strict traditions, there is still room for individuality, modern style, and creative expression. And as Camilla continues to guide this new era of flexibility, Sophie's tiara journey proves that the monarchy can honor its past, while embracing a future where tradition and modernity shine side by side. And that's not all. Now, the surprising thing about Camilla's flexibility with the tiara tradition was not simply about sharing or modernizing. At its heart, it was about dominion, a way of proving a point, not just to the public but most especially to Catherine, the future queen, and to Sophie, who now holds a senior position as Duchess of Edinburgh. By placing herself at the center of these choices, Camilla made it clear that she, as queen, controls the jewels and their symbolism. But what makes this moment even more striking is that from their tiara journey so far, both Catherine and Sophie had already begun adapting to change long before Camilla's actions came into focus. Their tiara appearances, thoughtful, symbolic, and at times daring, showed how the both of them understood that flexibility could be a tool, not a threat. Because sometimes actions speak louder than crowns. So, while Camilla may have exercised power to underline her role, Catherine and Sophie have answered quietly through their own choices, each weaving tradition with modern expression in ways that subtly reshape the monarchy's jewelry story. What do you think about Queen Camilla's changes to the tiara rules and the way they have shaped Catherine, Princess of Wales, and Duchess Sophie of Edinburgh? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. And while you are still here, click on the video showing on your screen. You won't want to miss it.